To put it very briefly, what's happening is that the United States is dismantling the post-World War II economic security order that has run the world since 1947, 1948. One of the reasons for that is that the population of Europe is dying. They are getting older, their birth rate is going down, they are not replenishing their population. In the UK, Germany is in a state of population collapse. The United States is no longer interested in maintaining the security of Europe. They don't have enough consumers and they don't have enough workers. It's not going to be a productive economic ally for the United States. Basically, the same way that the United States has been dealing with the so-called developing world, this same process is going to be implemented across Europe. You will see spillover from the Ukraine conflict. It will spread to multiple countries. Countries will become increasingly nationalistic, which will deteriorate the European Union. Demanding that Germany stop using Russian oil and gas is just a huge sort of wedge that the US is sticking in the heart of the EU to pry it into pieces. Europe is going to be completely subjugated. This is all part of what the Obama administration talked about several years ago with the pivot to Asia. Now, Asian countries need to be aware of what this means. Particularly countries like Indonesia and Malaysia have robust populations. They have a lot of workers. They have a lot of consumers. They have a lot of natural resources. And they have tremendous potential for economic growth. The U.S. wants to get that under their control. And by the U.S., what I mean is multinational corporations headquartered in the U.S. I don't mean the United States government. I don't mean the United States people. I mean the actual power players in the private sector who control policy. They are going to want to subdue nations like Malaysia and nations like Indonesia, specifically these two, because they're two of the most dynamic countries in the region. So there has to be really a revival of the non-alignment movement from the 1960s. It has to be revived specifically in the economic sphere. And there should be partnerships between countries like Malaysia and Indonesia and across the global south, and especially among Muslim countries. Bridges can be built through the private sector. It doesn't even have to be government to government. Government policy will follow what the private sector pioneers. So if private sector players in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in Brunei build partnerships and build trade agreements and build trade relationships across the global south, for example, one of the things that could potentially be done is to position our economies as, for lack of a better word, broker economies. For example, in Ghana, they recently banned the export of cocoa to Switzerland because Switzerland wants that cocoa to make Swiss chocolate. Ghana said, we want to build our own chocolate production facilities. Why couldn't Malaysia or Indonesia buy cocoa from Ghana and then we export it to Switzerland? Because Switzerland still wants that cocoa, but they can't get it directly from Ghana. Let us get it from Ghana and then we sell it to them. That's another way that you can boost your economy and your revenues while also strengthening other countries, developing countries in the global south. We have to be ready for the West's inevitable targeting of our countries and our economies. One of the ways that they're going to do that, they're already doing. With Malaysia, for example, coming out and saying that there's these grave human rights violations. Human rights is just a way for them to basically say, we don't think that your country should be sovereign. We don't think that your country should be able to make its own laws, and you should follow what we say. They will camouflage their intrusion as a rescue mission. They will camouflage their invasion as a mission of liberation, telling you, we're here to protect your human rights. But actually, we're just actually here to undermine your sovereignty. The pivot to Asia is dangerous for Asia. The global economic order is changing, and Asia and the Muslim world are poised to benefit tremendously from that. But decisions made at this particular moment in history are extremely important. Jazakumullahu khairan wa assalamu alaikum.